All right. So good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to each one of you joining us from across Kenya, Nigeria, and all over the world. We receive registrations from various parts of the world, with Kenya dominating, of course. We have people from Zimbabwe. I saw someone registered from the Philippines, someone from the US, another from the UK. Yes, and whether you're here live or maybe watching this replay later, I want to thank you for choosing to spend your time with us. My name is Catherine Odhiambo, the author of Ready, Set, Launch, and your host for tonight's special session, Beyond the Lab Coat, Breaking In and Standing Out in Food Science. I didn't want to make this all about the book. It's a conversation, it's a space for honesty, for reflection, and for possibility. And you're going to hear from professionals working in various fields like quality assurance, business development, and global food systems. But most importantly, you're going to honor the journey, which can be messy, it can be beautiful, and often uncertain when you're trying to figure out how to navigate this field. So just feel free to say hi in the chat section. Let us know where you're joining us from. And if you have any questions for the panel, you can pop them in the chat. If you have some questions for me, you can also drop them. Just indicate who you're directing your questions to so that the right individual may be able to answer. So settle in, and just a quick icebreaker, even as you're dropping where you're joining us from. Let's say if your food science journey so far were a dish or a meal, what would it be and why? If your food science journey so far were a dish or meal, what would it be and why?
Hello.
Yes.
So I'm finally here.
You're finally here. Oh, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I had to hop off and then rejoin because for some reason I was not getting the option to give permission to the app to use my laptop.
Nice. So much to have you. Oh, one thing about this app, if you join using your phone, you won't be able to speak unless they give you permission to speak. But if you have your laptop, I've made the settings so that you can be able to speak.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Sorry for the glitch.
No worries. Christine is joining us from Nyeri, Kenya. Nice to have you, Christine. My elder sister is actually called Christine. Oh, Wangari is a dear friend of mine. I'm so glad to have you in the house. She was the first one to purchase my book. That one I must blot off. Okay, so Wangari's journey would be a mint chocolate. Wow, that's nice. The very definition of bittersweet and exactly how I like it. Mint chocolate is my favorite flavor of chocolate. Nice. I can see someone else typing. As we wait for them to type, maybe Purity, you can tell us if your food science journey was a dish, what would it be?
Just trying to think if it was a dish.
Yeah.
I would say I'm thinking of a dish which it's not enjoyable when you begin eating it, but then you get the pleasure at the end of it. Because
Nice.
The reason why I'm saying that is so I studied for my food science degree as a mature student. I came from the admin background, and having studied for my primary and secondary school in Kenya. So coming to UK, I had just turned 30, enrolling for uni to study for a science degree. That was not easy. And there were some days when I was going home from uni and I was asking myself whether I was mad. Why did I enroll for that degree? I can tell you that. But yeah, so it was not easy, but I would say it paid off. So all the pain in the end was worth it. Yeah. So going back to your question, trying to think of a dish. I'm trying to think which dish. Maybe isaga because isaga is bitter when you start with it.
True.
But then it's still tasty. I think so. I think so.
Yeah. It's bittersweet. Just like Wangari told us about the mint chocolate. David, do you have a dish in mind? Ola, do you have any dish in mind?
Yeah, for me, I do have. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I love that Purity has just mentioned saga. You know, my head was like, should I start with traditional meals or do I come to these modern foods that we?
The lasagnas and the likes.
But for those ones, I'll start with traditional ones. Okay, my very favorite. I'm a fan of maziwa mala.
You just have to be. Those are the basic things you were making in school for those who managed to make.
But me now, I was like the traditional one.
Yeah.
So I just prefer mine. Stucky, I don't want these things that have, the likes of the starch, the pectin. Milk.
You went to the fermented one in a calabash?
Yeah, that one. That one, when I have it with the whole meal ugali, that is how I can describe my career. But if we were to describe it in modern terms, I'm looking at these Somali restaurants, and I'm looking at a senior for 2 or a senior for 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Christine would liken her journey with baking. Nice. In the beginning, you get a few ingredients wrong. You go back to the drawing board, recalibrate your ingredients, bake till you get the cake right. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Who is this? There is no name, but he or she likens the journey to wine. Wow. It gets better with time. Aging like fine wine. Amazing, amazing. So, before we go on, no one else is typing. So that gives me permission to proceed. Our panelists for today, before I even say any other thing, just kindly introduce yourself and tell us one little fun fact about you, starting all the way from Ola, since you've been quiet. I love calling her Ola because she has a long name, Olasumbo.
Olasumbo, that long? Okay, thank you for pronouncing it this time around. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ola.
Can you hear me? Okay, hello. I'm
Yes,
saying
we can.
beautiful faces and one handsome face I can see here. Hello. Okay, my name is Olasumbo Olagoke Komolafe, the Quality Control Manager of Sweet Sensation Confectionery. Sweet Sensation is one of the leading QSR, that is quick service restaurants in Nigeria. So I'm the Quality Control Manager, and I've been in this position for like 6 years thereabouts. And I would say that it is not an easy one, but just like the baking the high special that you have today, Olagoke, if I should say the dish that I like, I don't want to mention my local food because you might not understand. So that's why I didn't want to contribute to that. But it's been so impactful because when you are seeing results, what you are doing and you are seeing results, you feel fulfilled. So it's been a good journey, a fulfilled one. And no, it's still a journey. Quality is a journey. So there's no destination. So I'm still moving. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ola. On to David.
Good evening once again. I think it's a pleasure being part of this session beyond the lab coat. And my name is David Choya Ongeri. I'm a business development manager for an organization called Sanku. We basically deal with millers in the flour industry, that is maize flour and wheat flour. That is me in a nutshell.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. Now on to Purity.
Yeah. Hi again, and thanks, Catherine, for inviting me to this very important and long overdue session. because I do believe in the food industry. One of the things, one of the challenges we are facing is a talent pipeline. So it is fantastic. So I'm Purity Wamboi Hirishka. So Hirishka, don't even try to pronounce that or try to figure out how it's written, because that's my husband's name. But I'm a girl from Nyeri or from Nanyuki, depending on which part of my growing up you want to refer to. So I studied in Kenya for my primary and for my secondary school, and my early career, though not per se in food, started off in Kenya. But when I talk of food, I'm talking about running a pub, my own pub, and also running a shop. And I've done so many little bits and bobs till I moved to the UK at some point and found myself in the food industry. To be honest, my journey was kind of, I would say I ended up in the food industry in the UK through Providence. Because when I arrived in the UK, I was planning on starting. So in Kenya, I was working in administration. I was a secretary. So when I came to the UK, I wanted to do international business relations. And in UK, most of the time, you need to get yourself a job because, of course, bills have to be paid. So I was looking for a job. And I happened to get a job as a QA, or what you call quality assistant or quality assurance technician, in a food factory. And through that, that's how I ended up now working into quality. So just accidental like that. So wow. I got this job as a QA technician. I enrolled, so I changed my mind. I decided I was not going to study for international relations, and I started for food science. I went for food science. And that's why at the beginning I was saying it was such a challenge, and I was asking myself, what was I thinking? Because my first semester in year one was very tough. So I didn't go through foundation, and it had been many years since I left school. And this system I started was so different from the UK system. So here I was in my first year, and nobody babysits you when you go to uni. So in UK, for instance, so you go for your admission interview. I was admitted as a mature student. So on the basis that I was already working as a quality assurance technician in the food industry. So I didn't need to go through a foundation. I did my maths and my English, and I passed. And I get enrolled, and then I get an email, and it says, here are your logging ins to go to this system called Blackboard. You'll find out where lectures are and what you need to do. So I show up at uni. First day is induction. Then from that, it's bang, bang. Lab sessions each and every day. My chemistry, when you ask me if I tell you how my chemistry lab back home was in Kenya, I think you only had one Bunsen burner and a mortar and pestle. I never did anything in that. And here I was in a doing a chemistry-based degree. Somehow, I got into it, but it was not easy. I really had to study hard. So anyway, from first semester, really challenging, but I worked hard, really hard. My husband was dropping me off at this shopping center. I bought a big chemistry book. I was learning organic chemistry, balancing equations. So we're talking about somebody who's never done organic chemistry, yeah? And then by the time the lab opens, I would go to the lab. In a nutshell, I finished with a first-class degree. But my degree was a part-time because I was still working. So instead of the normal 3 years for an undergraduate degree, my degree was to take 6 years. But because I was working in the industry, I prepared a personal portfolio to demonstrate I had met the learning outcomes. So in 5 years, I finished my undergraduate. Then I went on to enroll for a master's in food safety and quality management. But that's my educational background. At the moment, what am I doing for work? So I'm currently working for a company called ADM. And ADM, I'm looking after suppliers for one business unit. So ADM is divided into 3 business units. We've got agricultural and oilseeds, which is where I sit. And we've got carbohydrate solutions, which is our milling business. And we do syrups and other starch. And then we've got human nutrition, which we do. We have nutraceuticals, and we've got protein. So things like protein concentrates, which go on to the industry to do protein shakes and all that, and also animal nutrition. So I look after suppliers for this business unit called Agricultural Services and Oilseeds. And I look after suppliers for the UK region. It's called EMEI, so it's Europe, UK, and India. And prior to joining ADM, I was working as still in food safety and quality management, but for one of the supermarkets in UK, so in retail, which was very super fast paced because you're spinning so many plates in the same time. As in, you've got a project, you're launching Christmas before products hit the shelves. You're already thinking about Valentine, and already the developers are talking about Easter. So it's always running around like crazy, but still fun. And prior to that, I was more factory based. I was working for a sugar refining company as a technical manager. That's what we are called in the UK, but it's a quality manager. So in charge of the food safety and quality management system. So it's a company called Tate & Lyle, who are part of the American sugar refining company. So I was in charge of the food safety in the factory. And prior to that, different foods, food companies. So ready meals, I've worked with ready meals, so really high risk products with, some of the main risks being listeria controls because they're fresh, and the temperature and heat being the main controls for them. Before moving on to less riskier, because sugar, you concentrate more on physical contaminants because you're not worried anything is going to grow on sugar. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Thank you, Purity. You've gone way deeper. So there are even some questions I'm going to skip for you. So let's first start with David. When you think back to the early stages of your career, what's one thing you wish someone had told you about navigating the food industry?
Thanks, Kate, for the question. I believe when I also reflect back, we are in 2025, like 7 years ago when I started working. I really wish that someone had told me earlier, even before I joined the industry, is that the technical expertise or the technical knowledge that someone gets from campus is going to open the doors for you. Okay, you are going to get employed. That is very okay. But for you to be able to go ahead and stay in those rooms and be able to move forward to even to other bigger opportunities, other bigger roles, developing and opening up your mind, such as having some business acumen, will be really key to your career growth, and also broadening your network. Like each and every day, networking should be at the back of your, fingertips.
Yeah.
Whom am I networking with? Whom am I talking to? And it has to be like meaningful conversation that you're having with various people. And networking, we are looking at not only people way up the ladder, even people who are below you or across you. More or less like, people across you, okay? Because you get to learn some very key details from each and every person, irrespective of their position that they hold in a given space. If it's that cleaner might be the one who knows the director of the company that you want, If that director might be the one linking you to a hiring organization, right?
True.
So that's why I look at if someone was to go ahead and give me some good advice early in my career.
Thank you, David. It's great that you've mentioned networking and business acumen, because most people in this room, I met them through networking. For David, we met during our attachment in 2017, right, David? At yes, sir. And then funny thing, do you know, I've never met Ola, I've never met Purity. But they usually support me so much in my career. Purity has introduced me to opportunities. Ola supports me. She was even the second person to buy my book. Like networking is amazing, guys, and it's usually not just a tech relationship. You have to build a meaningful relationship, not just what do I want to get from this person. So Ola, if you were to go back in time, what would you wish someone would have told you? Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, I just submitted now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, for me, good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. And for this question, if I'm to go back, that I would have wished that I have a mentor very early, because a mentor actually shaping my journey in food science, that I think the quality assurance. If I had a mentor early enough, when you came back when you finish from school, we are so ambitious that we want to work in those multinational companies. That is our focus. But you don't know what lies for you in the industry. That all those small scale industry, no, it's the multinational. That is where they go. It's good to be ambitious, but at the same time, you have to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
Taking for instance, the experience I had, even during my 6 months IT, I was like, no, I'm going to work. The 3 months IT I had in a small industry. So for the 6 months in IT, my focus was, is this multinational, the likes of Fisland, Nestle, like that. So I was so desperate. So by the time we got to like 2 months, I didn't get a placement. I had to run back to the small scale industry. So when I graduated, the same thing happened that, of course, we are ambitious now. So you have to be, aspiring that this is where you want to be. A mentor, actually, you need a mentor to advise you that start from somewhere, because the food industry is very, very dynamic. Very, very dynamic. You have to gather experience. You have to gather the soft skills. Fine, all those technical jargons that we are taught in schools. But, to gather the soft skills, to collaborate, you need to start from somewhere to relate with people. So in my journey, if I'd had a mentorship, a mentor very early enough, not that I didn't even have mentor, but I didn't really take that as a mentor. Just like you see your mentor as if that, oh, I have a mentor working in that industry, I want to work. So is that mentor is now my employer. You'll be like, oh, just get me access to your company. But if it's no longer forthcoming, it's just leave. So that's what happened to me. So it's just a matter of to be focused, listen to your mentor, and to direct you. So it will make my journey to be smoother than what I had in the first place.
Thank you. Don't go. If what's one unconventional or lesser known skill that gave you a competitive edge?
Okay, like people's skills, resilience, and adaptability. Just have to be resilient. Just have to be resilient. You have to be able to adapt to situations. Take, for instance, that there is in the QSR where I work, that's where things move very fast. In the kitchen, you are working in the kitchen, and immediately another thing is happening. You have audits. We are having an impromptu regulator visit, and at the same time, one of the staff called in sick, and at the same time, there is temperature breakdown of one equipment. Just have to be resilient, have to be able to adapt to situations and calm down under pressure. So those are the skills that I learned, that just have to, for you to be a QA, you just have to be calm down to be able to attend to issues, because there is no perfect system. Issues will definitely arise, and able to adapt for you to solve any problem.
Thank you. So we underline resilient. Nice. So Purity, you talked about going to the UK without having a food science background, but landing a quality job. So what do you think is the one skill that made you stand out?
I would say
skill. Something that someone would think that for a food scientist, I really need to have this to stand out in the job market.
A problem solver.
Nice. Can you expand a bit?
So being a problem solver and being known as a person who can solve problems, and taking on more than you are paid for. Because what happens, some people usually say, that's not my job.
True.
But there is nothing, that's a career killer. So it's taking on more, and to be honest, that contributed significantly to my growth, because like I said, I started off as a technician In the same company, I went to being a supervisor. Then the same company, I got promoted to a technical manager. Because I remember when we had audits, I was participating and I was on such a low salary. I was on minimum wage in UK. But I was there doing the traceability exercises. When there was audits, I was there in the midst of it. Because you can't talk your way into a role. People need to see your capability. So till you get the opportunity and you show, and then they say, well, this person is so analytical. This person is so organized. Nobody will think, let's try, because people don't have time for trial and error. So it's looking for those opportunities to be able to demonstrate your value.
Oh, thank you. You can't talk your way into a role. Amazing, amazing. David, what about you?
I think for me, one key characteristic is being a system thinker, more of looking at the bigger picture than what you've been called to do, or rather what you've been employed to do. What is the bigger picture of that role that you are doing? Okay, so if you've been hired as a QA analyst, a quality assurance analyst, or you are in the R&D space, so what is the bigger picture of that role, and how does it contribute to the bottom line of the company? Remember, if you are in a for-profit company, you are not in an NGO. Whatever role that you are doing, as long as you are not in accounts, just know that that role contributes to the commercial aspect of that business. So you need to look at the bigger picture of your role. How is it going to help the company bring in more money so that you'll be paid at the end of the day? You know, you went there to look for money. The owner of the business is doing the business to get money. So everyone is in for the money. So your role, how is it bringing in that money? So once you look at the bigger picture, then it gives you a really a good lens of you moving around that space.
Thank you, David. Thank you. So some of the unique skills, you have to be resilient, and then you have to be a problem solver. You have to be a system thinker. You have to go over and above the role that you've been given. To our attendees, kindly just make the chat section active. You can write your takeaways there, what has stood out for you so far. If a speaker mentions a point that hits home, you can also notify us there in the chat section. If you have a question, don't wait until the very end. We have a Q&A section. You can drop your questions over there. So to Ola, QA roles are often seen as rigid or repetitive, especially by people like me who've gone out of the industry to this other side of things. How have you carved out growth and leadership within this space?
Oh, okay. Wow. QA, people always see QA as if that's just SOPs, going through the SOPs, checklists. We are fault finders. When they see you fault finders, they have come, checking on performance. But that's only the surface for me. That's only the surface. For me, it has been a platform for growth, leadership, and real impact. QA goes beyond testing, just like we know that we go about it. It goes beyond that. It's about building system, managing risk, mitigating risk, and improving process across the board. From vendor audits, from here, NAVDAC inspections, every touch point reflects how well your system works. So how I'm able to navigate to make sure that it is enjoyable, it's not a routine, it's not rigid for me, that I make sure that internally I collaborate with my team, and also externally with the regulators and professionals, the like minds. So I make sure that I join a professional association whereby I rub mind with like minds. Not forget that internally that it might be boring for you, because you keep, at times you train, you speak to those that do not have full knowledge of food science, that you have to come down to their level to break down it for them. But externally, that you're able to regulate with the regulators, of course, they are knowledgeable, they know what they are coming to your system to check, and also with your professional associates. So for me, it is from there you're able to refuel yourself. There's many interesting things to discuss among yourself, even on the platform, just like social platform, the LinkedIn, that you're able to rub minds, see the like minds. So it goes beyond that. That those relationships shaped my communications because I'm able to relate with people. It shapes my communication, decision makings, and leadership skills. And because I didn't keep the knowledge to myself, I grew even more. I mentored the young professionals. I mentored young professionals. I trained staff. In fact, I had to carve out a niche out of it because, you know, by the time that for QA, you can't keep quiet. You have to keep training and retraining for them to get it right. So I carve out that I'm a trainer in that aspect. And also I speak at forums like this. So that when I realized that QA is this a back office role, it's a connector. You have to connect. You have to link up with people, processes, and purpose. So that's how I'm able to grow in this space.
Wow, thank you so much, Ola. Let's come back to David now. David, you moved from this other side of food safety, quality assurance, and came to the business side of things. How did you make that shift, and what mindset did it require?
Thank you, Kate, for that. Actually, it was quite a long journey, I can say. Started working in late 2018.
Yeah.
So by the time we were heading towards the end of 2019, actually, I started working with Capwell Industries as a research and development assistant. And during my role, I used to interact a lot with the ingredient companies because whatever product that they wanted to sell, they needed to pass through our hands, or rather my hands. I was with my other colleague, we were two R&D assistants. So we needed to work on these ingredients, see if they are working, if they are meeting the business needs, if they are meeting whatever QA wants, if they are meeting whatever marketing wants, if they are meeting what the sales teams also want, plus also if they're meeting the production needs. So once we look at these products, then we can go ahead and give it to our manager for approval, and then we go ahead and onboard the products into the system. Okay, so how I was able to make that shift is that through my interactions, I was also looking at myself because I was still very young in the industry, and as a young professional, you know, you normally you are very curious, asking yourself, is this the right decision that I've made? Am I in the right space? Ola says that when she graduated, she was aiming for the big company. I think even us, we are aiming for the big companies, but when you are in the battlefield, you realize that more or less a food company is a food company with respect of its magnitude, whether it's the biggest of the biggest or it's just a startup. But your contribution is what matters to that organization, and also your contribution to yourself. Okay. So that's how I was able to look at and to try to make a shift. And I asked myself, me as a young food scientist, which skills do I still want to continue making impact? And I looked at my strength and I realized that I'm a very talkative person. I'm an outgoing person. So being confined in the lab space, I don't see myself down that train. So I wanted to continue practicing food science. So I looked at the roles that will be able to put me in a space that I'm going to still continue practice food science, but also explore other opportunities. And moving into the technical space, I saw it to be a very perfect opportunity for me. So I started chasing that. From 2020, 2021, 2022, and finally in 2023 is when I landed on my first role in the technical space, so, or rather on the sales space. So what I'm trying to say is that it's also a long journey for those people who want to do that shift. So you have to be really get prepared. It might come like today, but it might take a lot of time. Okay. So and the kind of shift that was in my head is that the one that helped me is seeing the bigger picture, like I mentioned earlier on. So you have to see that in the technical role that you are, what is the bigger picture? And you know, the bigger picture, we are looking at the customer needs, okay? You are being employed by one specific client, but that client is serving other customers. So what are the needs of these customers that your employer has given you an opportunity to work on, okay? So that is in the bigger picture. We are also looking at the scalability of whatever that you are doing. I was in the R&D space. I did a lot of research on quite a number of products. So one of the key things that we are also looking at, this thing that we are doing, how are we going to scale it up? And when your manager tries to ask you that, your manager is trying to push you beyond you doing some few tests, you checking on the bricks, you checking on the pH level, you checking on the, you know, the appearance of that product. Your manager is trying to push you beyond that technical level for you to be able to go and ask yourself, how scalable is this thing that we are doing? How many people are we going to reach to? Okay. And we are also looking at how collaborative are you with other teams? Okay, I'm speaking from the R&D's perspective because we do interact with a lot of teams across the board. Okay, we're interacting with someone from procurement, we are interacting with someone from, you know, mechanical, because there's a machine that you want to use and you don't have it and you need to procure it. You are speaking to someone from sales and marketing. You want to launch that product and you want to know how you're going to reach out to your specific target market. You're also talking to the QA person. You need some reagents, you need some ABCD things, okay? You're also reaching out to people in the statutory departments. For example, here in Kenya, we have the likes of KEBS. You're reaching out to KEBS. You are reaching out to people in the KNDI sector, that is the nutrition sector. You want to maybe launch a product that has some nutrition claims. So you have to look at so many things. That is looking at the bigger picture. Yeah.
Thank you, David. You haven't bragged to us how you are the one behind Yola, ready to drink porridge, huh?
No,
yes.
no. Okay, maybe for that one, I can be able to go ahead and touch a little bit about it. So for Yola, I cannot say that I was the sole bringer of that product. There was when I joined Capwell, I found already the product in progress. So for me, I more or less joined it towards the last stages of it. But one product that maybe I can brag about, the one that I was given and I cracked it and it's in the market, and it's something that gives me joy as a food scientist. Me, I say that I did my work as a food scientist in the lab. I finished. Now I'm moving to the field to deal with customers. If you go to the supermarkets, you can go to the whole grain sector for maize. You'll see a product called Soko Whole Grain. That is a product that I was able to develop. I was given a challenge. I was given something to work on by my line manager during that time. And yeah, I'm happy that we created something that is in the market.
Very Soko Whole Grain.
Sorry?
Soko Whole Grain.
Yeah, the Soko Whole Grain.
It's different from Nutrigo.
It's the one, Soko Nutrigo.
Oh, nice. I thought I was wrong.
It's the
Nice.
branding and the wording, but it's the same. It's the one and only packed whole grain maize flour in the country.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, David. Before we move on to the next question for Purity, there's a reflection from Rodney here. Good evening, I am Rodney. Rodney, thank you so much. Rodney has also purchased the book. And one thing, I've never met Rodney, but Rodney is an active follower and commenter of mine there on LinkedIn. So we've built a relationship online. Soon we should take it physical, Rodney. We should actually meet. Good evening, I am Rodney. I'm a food and dairy hygiene analyst and a food safety consultant on the side. I joined late, but I already picked up two things from the speakers that I relate with, that it's resilience and playing the role to show what you can do, because as she has said, words won't get you the opportunity. I also want to share that learning on a daily basis has helped me reach here. Nice. So getting to know something new every day will go a long way in helping a person in their career. Thank you, Catherine, for what you're doing. I got the book and I know it will help me more in my career. Thank you so much. I'm very sure it's going to help you. So let's move on to Purity. Purity, you've worked on an international scale, from working in supermarket chains like Sainsbury's, and now you're with ADM. What are some global trends you're seeing in quality assurance that young professionals should pay attention to?
I would say is the growth of use of technology. So right now, generative AI. Many companies are using generative AIs. So even my employer at the moment, we already have our own version of ChatGPT.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so you can do everything from writing SOPs. So if you go to AI, if you want to take the shorter route, depending on the prompt you give, you can say, I do A, B, C, D in my factory. Can you generate an SOP for me that meets a GFSI or meets a BRC requirements for clause 1, 2, 3, 4? So something which would have taken you maybe a whole week to write an SOP, because I mean, for me, it takes me a long time because I think, then I look at it and I think maybe the sentence is convoluted and I go back to it. And right now, AI can spit it out within seconds. So use of generative AI, and also things like use of a combination of Internet of Things. And also combined with AI, I already know a trial that is that took place here in UK. So that is one of them. Use of technology within the food space. And again, even when you think of using AI in food safety. So again, let's say you want to do for your risk assessments for your vulnerability or food fraud risk assessments. You can use AI and it will scrap the web or the current for all the food recalls existing, all the risks, and you can even all the geopolitical unrest that is there, and it will spit out. So again, depending on how good are your prompts. So again, something maybe you'd have had to go to RASAF, you'd have had to go to the FDA if you wanted to find out maybe whichever Kenyan system you're using, if you wanted to find out if there is maybe some risk associated with a certain material. But with use of AI, just a couple of seconds. And also thinking in terms of the move to cloud-based quality and food safety management systems. In the olden days, we used to have folders. You'd have all your SOPs in a folder. If you are visiting a supplier, you'd need to carry all your specifications with you because they are all paper-based. But now everything is cloud-based. You just click and everything, wherever you are, on your mobile phone, on your tablet, you get access to that. So those are the two main ones I'm aware of. So technology and also going cloud-based in terms of quality and food safety management systems.
Thank you, Purity. In this day and age, you have no choice but to be tech savvy. Like literally no choice. You have to learn prompting. Because I know most people are against AI and all that, but AI is all, what you give it is what you get. If you give it rubbish, you're going to get rubbish. So you should learn prompting. Currently, there's even a job opportunity for just people who generate AI prompts. So that's also an opportunity for us as scientists, just beyond the lab coat, as our webinar is called. We should think outside the box. So back to Ola, what advice would you give to someone interested in transitioning from academic food science into a quality-focused corporate role? You've learned the theory, now you're moving to the industry.
Okay. For me, the advice that don't rush in quoting standard, because I know that all those standard, all those technical terms, they are rioting in the head, but as coming from academics. So going to the industry, you don't just get to your organization and start quoting all those standards, this and that. You have to calm down to study the industry, to study the operations. You have to observe and even empathize with the production team. Because at times, like I said earlier, that there's no perfect system. You might get into an organization whereby they don't have all the necessary PPE, which is compulsory. Those are the things that you have to observe to put in place. not that they made the staff. You just have to, calm down and also just like, okay, let's say that it's another to say the factory floor works on the busy Monday morning and staff and the trucks are moving here and there and you are just cutting. Just have to study the operations, how to streamline the process, how to optimize the process, how to make sure that everybody understands it. So you're coming from academic, it's totally different from industry that you need to come down to learn from those that are there already. It doesn't mean probably you're a professor, it's different. That you can even learn, I think, was it not David that talked about that? Even a cleaner, you can learn from a cleaner, which are the first place that I worked in hospitality, that the housekeeping, fine, the housekeeping did not go to school, being a graduate. I learned from the housekeeper how they do their hygiene and all that. So you just have to be able to relate properly. You just have to relate. That is interpersonal skills, able to learn and unlearn. But this is a matter of you are going to learn, unlearn what you have learned, and also to relearn the industry that you have, so that you're able to key into the operations. Otherwise, they'll just mess up the whole work for you. And those staff that are technical about it, that they know how the operation works, and you're just doing grammar, they can frustrate your effort, because they know the nitty-gritty of the operation. They know when there are issues, where to quickly go when there is to troubleshoot. But you are still coming with the books on your head that, okay, let's go like this, let's go like that, which is not the way to go about it. So what happens that we just have to be able to relate with everybody in the system, so that your degree gives you knowledge, we know, but your approach earns you the trust. So that does it. Thank you.
Thank you. To David, what gaps do you think early career food scientists need to fill to better position themselves for non-technical roles?
Thank you for that, Kate. I believe, sorry, my cat is here disturbing me.
You're so cute.
What's that?
No. Anyway, I believe that we are in the age of content creation, okay? And in content creation, we are looking at people who can be able to go ahead and sorry. We are looking at people who need to be story communicators in whatever thing that you are doing. Can you be able to communicate it in a story way? Okay, so take the technical thing that you are doing and communicate it to someone who is not in that technical space. If I meet someone, for instance, I'm going to meet a QA analyst. Now that I'm coming from, I am from a milling background. I'll give an example of a milling background. I'm going to meet a QA analyst. This QA analyst is analyzing some maize flour, is analyzing aflatoxin, for instance. So if they go somewhere and they meet, let's say, a watchman, and the watchman is going to ask them, what are you doing? Or rather, what sort of job do you do? And this QA person, whatever they remember is aflatoxin testing. Do you think that that person is going to, communicate the technical know-how? You need to take this, put it in the ELISA, then put this and take into the vowels, wait for it 10 minutes, make a solution. That watchman will not be able to go ahead and understand. So as a person who is very early into the career, look at how you can be able to communicate whatever you are doing in a story way. And if you, of course, you want to move into these non-technical roles, you're going to deal with all sorts of people. You're going to deal with business owners. You're going to deal with people in the procurement of the other organization. So you have to be very, very, I can say, Duolingo in your space, okay? You need to communicate both the technical terms and also communicate these other business terms. If you're going to meet, for example, the finance director, who needs you to negotiate on the pricing of your product. So how are you going to approach that? Okay. So you need to be a storyteller, and you need to be like a Duolingo person in your space. And something else, if you're looking into moving to these non-technical roles, you also need to have the entrepreneur mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to think like an owner. Profit, losses, and also you need thinking as an entrepreneur. You're looking at someone who looks at opportunities. You need to be an opportunity getter. So what sort of opportunity is arising within my space, such that I can be able to go ahead and position myself and grab that opportunity. Okay. If, for instance, right now, Purity has said that they are using generative AI in their company. So I, as a food scientist who wants to move into non-technical roles, what are all sort of gaps in generative AI is Purity's organization facing that I can be able to go ahead and speak to someone in the, of course, someone, we are talking about the decision makers, and of course you need to know the decision makers. So what sort of gap am I going to fill in this generative AI that this person will not only be looking at me having the food science background as a weak point, but as a strong point for me to come on board and be of useful to the organization. That is how I look at, bringing on the entrepreneur mindset. If it means you interacting and having a direct contact with the clients back in whatever space that you are, if you are a Gen Z, for instance, and you know that you can speak to your Gen Z in your Gen Z terms using generative AI, and you want to shift into that, then it means you going and using the slang words in the Gen Z world and be able to communicate it into our fellow Gen Zs, and actually then convince the decision makers that whatever thing that I want to do with generative AI is going to create such an impact to the organization. That's how you do it. And of course, negotiation skills. That is part of the being an entrepreneur mindset. You need to negotiate everything that you do. You're negotiating. When you woke up this morning, you are negotiating. What do I wear? That is still part of negotiation. Do I wear these black shoes? Do I wear the white shoes? And if I wear the white shoes, what sort of blouse or rather top will I wear it with? You're still negotiating with yourself, but you still don't, maybe you haven't it hasn't clicked into you, or rather you're not that situational aware that I am negotiating. Okay. So it means that negotiation is also key to in everything that you do. So in your early, just be practicing negotiation. If you go to the supermarket, I normally negotiate at the counter. Negotiate. Ask for that discount. And they do have, and imagine they normally give you the discount. Just ask them, do you have a discount? If you are a student, ask them, do you have a student discount? Just ask them. If you ask, they'll tell you. It's normally there. So yeah, practice negotiation and we'll find each other in these non-technical roles.
Nice. The worst thing they can say is no. And I'm smiling so much because the more you guys are speaking, the more I'm realizing that I was so on point with this book, because most of the things you're discussing, they're actually in the book, but we'll go into that once our panelists are done. For now, we're going to hear more nuggets from them. So back
just
to
a little one. Before you go to the next, I've heard you saying that no is the worst thing. I mean, the self-space, actually no is the best thing. The worst thing is for them not to give you any answer. For instance, I want to meet you tomorrow. And if you tell me no, I'll know that at least no, you'll not meet me. But are you available next weekend? Are you available next month? But if you just go ghost me, then maybe that is the worst thing. Because I don't know what is your decision.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I was actually talking about the discounts you were saying at the supermarket. Like, I'll ask for it, but what's the worst you can do to me? Nothing, except tell me no, maybe. Okay, so for Purity, how can young food scientists build cross-border, cross-functional careers like yours, especially starting out in Africa?
I would say sometimes there is also luck involved. We don't like to think of it. So there is a being in the right place at the right time, I would say. And like I said before, is add as much value as you can. And when those roles come up, have the confidence of course, be prepared and be a continuous learner, like somebody like Rodney had said. Be a continuous learner and focus on your personal development and develop those interpersonal skills because they're very important. I will tell you something, in food safety and quality, we don't add to the P&L, I mean to the profit and loss, we don't add. I worked in a company where we were known as sales preventers because we are the ones who say that's out of spec, it's not going out.
Yeah.
We never add value, we never add money. Okay, we prevent recalls and all that, but nobody ever sees that. So that means we need to work extra harder to demonstrate our value. And this goes from developing your personal skills and how you communicate the value you're adding to the business. And also appreciating that at the end of the day, it's not your business. So you can't go and, like Ola said before, yes, the company maybe doesn't have hairnets. You have to remember you are hired. You will say, yes, clause, we are BRC certified, clause ABC says these are about foreign body control. I think we should have this. You should be an advisor, because if it's my business, you'll not come in and tell me you need to close if you're not having hairnets, because I will say I'll get the next you. So just get out of here. So we really have to be conscious. So from communication, from collaboration also, because you work with multiple teams, you work from teams in other regions, you have to be conscious and culturally aware, I can tell you that. Because if I'm talking to my colleagues in India, for instance, I have to be culturally aware. While in UK, we are so much informal, we call our CEOs by the first names and all that. So you need to be aware of that. And even when you're talking, when you're challenging people, is keeping it, so professional and approaching that challenge from a curiosity perspective. Like you could ask, oh, that's an interesting perspective. I would like to learn more. Why do you think that we should do it that way? Instead of saying, I've never had such a stupid idea. Because you're going to make enemies. And the fellow panelists say, ultimately, these are your customers. Yes, they are not the final customer, but we call them your internal customers. They are the people you're serving, and you need to be in good relationships with them.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Purity. Let me go a bit to the chat before we go to the next round of questions. Hi, I'm Linda. I'm currently 2 years in the industry, and all I can say is that the industry needs a lot of resilience and determination to survive. Okay, so Linda has rubber stamped what Ola told us earlier, resilience and determination. To your question, we'll go to it later. Remind me if I forget, please. So to Ola, I know you manage teams. What do you look for when you're hiring or mentoring young food professionals?
Okay.
You can see your beautiful faces. Nice.
Yes, I
handsome ones.
Ask one question. That do you have passion for this work? Because I know at times probably it was probably they didn't meet up with cutoffs. Probably they didn't apply for food science. Like they found themselves in that department and they were unable to cross. It happened to some of my classmates that immediately they finished, they crossed to other industry. And considering the situation that we have now, that everybody just wants a place to work. So I always ask that question: do you have passion? Fine, you have this. You are a graduate of food science. Do you have passion? And psychologically, I can read if you have the passion, the way you talk and your body language and all that. Not just that I just want to work and collect salary. So after that, okay, if you are teachable, are you trainable? That you are ready to learn. If you have passion, definitely every other thing is very, very simple, because you're able to adapt, you're able to adapt to the situation, you're able to learn that, okay, I first said, okay, I don't have to start with, okay, all these certified courses. You can go online. We have Alinsin, Fine, how we train it. And
Mhm.
also read further. That means you have to continue to learn. Are you ready to learn? Because when it comes to QA, there is no destination. You keep
Mhm.
learning every day. Like I said, it's dynamic, things evolving, just like my fellow co-panelists said, what's happening in the industry now. So
Mhm.
you just have to be ready to be able to evolve. So all these skills that I check, and also curiosity, you have to be curious and have ownership approach. That is very,
Yeah.
very key. That's ownership approach. It's not a matter of I've told them not to do it, and since they didn't listen to me, then you walk away. No, just have to have all the skills to get it done, to get results, and also to be able to relate with your team, have empathy, like I've said before. All those skills, these are the things that we learn. These are the things that I check when I'm employed, when I'm doing interview, and also during probation period too. If you are employed, at least there's probation period, you're confirmed. So all this is that I make sure that I check in my team and before even their confirmation as a full staff. But I know that on my own part, I do my part to train them. But if you are reluctant, you are just struggling, I can advise you. I've advised some that, it's like you can fit in marketing department because we are talking about science here. Even though you have to come down to the level to apply it in the practical knowledge, but you have to learn, you have to read, you have to be able to relate it to what we do here. So I can just advise, change department if I know that you can't do it. But at the point of employment or mentoring you, just have to have that passion, because it's that passion that will ignite that flame in you to be able to thrive in the industry. So it's not about knowing everything. It's about caring enough to grow and contribute. That you are ready to grow and you are also ready to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you. When you're on it, I want you to answer Linda, who's asking, what professional courses would you advise a person who is 2 years in the industry to pursue in order to promote career growth? Did I repeat the question?
Okay, that's for me. All right. Sorry,
Yes,
I've
that's
missed
for
it.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
please come again.
What professional courses would you advise a person who is 2 years in the industry to pursue in order to promote career growth?
Okay, we have food safety management, we have level 1, level 2, level 3, and also HACCP. We have basic and advanced that you can pursue. Gradually from there, you can go to ISO and FFMS. So gradually, just start with the basic one with the food safety and hygiene training, and also to HACCP. Then from there to the ISO and take it one after the other. You don't need to rush, but one after the other, and you practicalize it. So that's it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Linda, perhaps you would have added where you want to be in the industry, what kind of roles you are pursuing. Yes, that will give us clarity. Okay. Let's now move to purity. What are some of the professional behaviors or soft skills that set candidates apart in global organizations?
Curiosity, collaboration, and teamwork. Communication is important. And cultural awareness, like I said.
Curiosity, collaboration,
Cultural awareness.
Cultural awareness. Oh, nice. I missed that. Cultural awareness. Thank you. Now to David. What do you wish more graduates understood about the commercial or innovation side of food? Different from all the things you've told us.
Thank you, Kate, for that. For me, I think what you really need to know is that a great product is not enough. So you are in the lab, You've developed, I'll pick up maybe something like from Purity side. You've developed one of the best flavors that you've ever seen. Internally, it hits all the nerves and senses of your body. It hits your, you can smell it. The aroma is really awesome. When the flavor is meeting whatever you want, no aftertaste. And if even the mouthfeel itself, when you do your internal analysis, everyone in the lab loves it. You bring all the decision makers in the company, they love the product. That is what they've been looking, for them to be able to hit in the market, and then you go with your product to the market. That's where the rubber hits the bullet, or the rubber hits the road. What they saying about? Something of the sort. So you find that your product actually, you find that a specific sector of the market, they don't really love that aroma. Then you go to a specific sector, another different segment of the market, you find that they actually don't love how it feels. Maybe it's giving them an aftertaste. For example, in Kenya, we have quite a very it's a vast geographical space in Kenya.
Yeah.
If it's a product down to the coastal region, whatever sensory profile you are going to get for that product will be totally different. When compared, if you take that product to, let's say, somewhere in Kericho. Kericho is in the central part of Kenya, no, toward the western part of Kenya. Very, very high altitudes. People there take a lot of tea. And if you take that product again, let's say, for example, somewhere in northeastern, whereby we experience a lot of heat. People there, they live, under quite high levels of sun heat. So these people, these three people that I've given you an example, they have a different social profile. And also whatever they are pre-exposed to is somehow very, very different. People down in the coast, they are used to salty water. So what does it tell you about their sensory buds? So that is something that you, as developing a product in the lab, you have to keep in mind. So in whatever space that you are, it will be a great product, but you go to the market, then you're going to get your reality. Okay. Have I answered the full part of the question?
Yes, you have.
Okay.
So, I'm in the chat section. I love going here to see what the attendees are saying. So Frida is telling us, I'm not a food scientist, just a very curious agri-professional, and I'm glad I joined in. I'm getting so much value from this. Thank you, Frida. Frida is also a good friend of mine. Then Bushnell has addressed this to Linda. If you're in the food industry, you should start with basic HACCP. Yes, and if out of the food industry, project management will get you into commercial roles. Amazing. If you have more insight, you can also drop it in the chat. One person cannot know it all, so we're also learning from one another. Now, let's go back to Purity before we have a sneak peek of our book. Just one sentence. Purity will go first, and then Ola, then David will close. What does standing out mean to you in the food science field today?
Problem solver.
If you're a problem solver, you stand out. Ola. Can you hear us? David, maybe you can go as we wait for Ola.
Oh, okay. For my end, she's speaking.
Okay, being the one to solve problem. I think that's what she said.
Yeah.
Okay, problem solver, like that's same thing I have as a problem solver, and also to be a problem solver and able to provide solutions to all issues. Same thing I have between here too.
Thank you. David.
Yeah, for me, I think it's someone who is well-rounded, someone who thinks beyond the food science, someone who actually bridges the gap of food science and business.
Yeah.
So if you can think about that, you can position yourself very, very well. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, okay. I'm just trying to now share. Okay, let me share this because I'm not seeing this other one. A sneak peek of our book before I go to the final question. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, so this is the book we were here today to launch, but I didn't want to make it just about the book. I wanted to provide value to all the young graduates out there and to anyone who was interested in coming to share their knowledge and also learn. So this book is like a letter to my younger self. I was very green, had no guidance, and wanted to see how I could launch my career in the food science space. So this is how the cover looks like. Yes, sir. I'm not going to show you everything. I'm just going to scroll through. My designer did an amazing job. Yes, and I've dedicated this to every mentor, colleague, friend, and professional who shaped my journey in food science. To people like Purity, Ola, thank you so much. To the resilient community of food professionals across Africa and beyond, your stories, challenges, and wins inspired this work. Actually, I was looking at your responses when you were filling in the sign-up form for this webinar, and I was like, I've addressed these questions in the book, so I'm on the right track. And to my family and loved ones, I thank them for believing in me, even when I question myself. To Claire Ngode, my designer, for capturing this vision so vividly through your design. And to my LinkedIn network that cheered me on with every step. This is our win. So that's just a bit about me. I'm not going to read all that. If you get the book, you're going to read it. I'm just going to show you a sneak peek of the table of contents so that you can know what's inside the book. And we're going to read the introduction only. So we have understanding the food science job market. This just shows you some of the common roles that are available. And then now what happens once you come out from school? We have a section on bridging the gap between theory and practice. I've also highlighted that you can craft a winning resume and cover letter. I've shown samples, that actual samples of how I did mine some time back and how it has progressed over time. I've also listed how you can prepare for job interviews with specific examples. I've included negotiation skills beyond the first offer. And then now we are going to a wake-up call where you're turning visibility into opportunity. This is all about branding. No one knows you if you're not online, especially on platforms like LinkedIn. So we covered that there also. These are all real stories. I'm not just talking theory. I'm using examples that have worked for me and also a bit of what I've researched. I also learned a lot actually when I was writing this book because you don't know everything. Most of them are from my experiences. Some of them are from research. I got to learn a lot. So even if you think you are in this space, you've progressed and all that, you can still learn a lot from the book. You're talking about mentorship. You're also talking about leveraging alumni networks. We are talking about key certifications and their benefits, and then how you can prepare for them. We also look at a day in the life of a food science professional, some common challenges and how to overcome them. Here we've listed even platforms and tools which can help you to develop things like SOPs, HACCP, and the likes. And then also other platforms that are not even food science related. Some of them are food science related just to help you in your professional growth. Some of them you'll be even shocked you've never even knew about them. Okay. And we also have resources for upskilling, professional groups and communities, books and podcasts, webinars, and even how to manage your time if you're a busy professional, how to maximize event participation, and then templates and resources for your career toolbox. So I'm just going to read this section only before we close. And then I have a little surprise for some of the registrants who are here today. Actually, I'm going to give away 3 free copies. When I filled out my university course selection form, food science and technology wasn't my first choice or even my second. I ended up there by sheer chance or lack of better options. A difficult pick in a moment of indecision. I had no idea what the course entailed, and I wasn't alone. On my first day, many of my classmates seemed just as clueless as I was. Some thought we'd signed up for a glorified cooking class, a misconception that still lingers among many people today. And surprisingly, our class was predominantly female, a reflection of this stereotype. We quickly bonded over shared confusion, sticking together as we unraveled what food science and technology was really about. Slowly but surely, I began to love the course, unlike some of my classmates who cruised through the 4 years unsure of their next steps. I felt lucky to have found a sense of purpose. Like most food science students, my dream was to work in quality assurance. To be precise, I wanted to join the Kenya Bureau of Standards and inspect food products to ensure consumer safety. It was a dream I boasted about to my dad, who in turn proudly shared it with his friends. My attachment at TC Bottlers felt like the first real step toward that goal. Landing the internship, however, was an uphill battle. You'd think I was applying for a senior management role, given how challenging it was to even get a foot in the door. I dropped my resume at every food company I could find, only to encounter barriers at every turn. At one company, the security guard told me something that still haunts me. He claimed that the HR department never looked at the resumes, they simply discarded them. Unless, of course, you're a beautiful woman willing to offer certain favors. It was a shocking and disheartening glimpse into the realities of job hunting in the food industry. Little did I know that this was just the beginning. After graduation, the struggle intensified. I applied for any and every role, both within and outside my field, even positions as a waitress. I remember trying to volunteer to an organization only to be told to leave my documents at the gate or make an appointment. Despite countless follow-up calls, I was eventually met with the infamous phrase, "Don't call us, we'll call you." We all know what that means. 3 years passed and I was still jobless. Then came COVID-19 and with it, an unexpected opportunity. Through a friend of a friend, I heard about a company looking for a quality assurance officer. The catch? The job was in a rural area and the product to be processed was silver cyprinid, commonly known as daga or omena in Kenya. The company didn't want a slay queen for the role and I fit the bill. My friend referred me and just like that, I landed my first job in food science. That moment marked the beginning of my journey in the field, a journey that has taught me resilience, adaptability, and the importance of seizing opportunities, even in the most unexpected circumstances. This ebook is my way of sharing the lessons I've learned with the young food scientists who are just starting their careers. If you've ever felt unsure about your path, struggled to find your footing, or doubted your place in this industry, I hope my story and the insights in the chapters that follow will guide and inspire you. Yes, that is the first page. I just wanted to show you, yes, the first page of everything. Wow, you people are still here. That's amazing. I hope you've learned something out of it. Or is there a specific page people want to see before we close? So that was the reason why I wrote the book. And I wanted to help some of you here. I don't know if anyone here has been able to read it. Wangari, were you able to read it? Ola, were you able to read it? I know you had a busy day, so most likely you are not able.
Yes, I wasn't. I'm not even opening.
Pardon?
Oh, I don't.
Pardon?
I've not opened it. No, I said that it came late this morning and it's been a busy day.
Yeah, I know it has. Yes. So let me look at the attendee list. I want to gift the first 3 registrations that I have on my list here. I don't know if they're in the room. So we have Chennai Matimba. Is Chennai Matimba around? Chennai Matimba is from Zimbabwe, is not in the room, so he misses his free copy. We have Dorcas Gitau. Dorcas, are you around? Is Dorcas around? Dorcas is also not around. Wow. The next person, Elizabeth Muinde. Do you have Elizabeth? Don't have Elizabeth. That's how luck, huh? John Okwach. John Okwach is also not here. You mean everyone who registered first is not here? Hey. Enyewe Waswahili usema kutangulia si kufika ama kufanya nini? The Swahilians in the room. Elizabeth Owiti, Francis Makumi, Dennis Yegon. All of these people are not here. Wow. So, who am I going to gift? Let me give Shukrat, who was the first person to inquire about how to buy the book. So Shukrat, I'm going to gift you. Shukrat, which country are you joining us from? Let me allow you to talk. Hi, Shukrat. Can you hear us? Hi, Shukrat. Shukrat doesn't want to talk in listen mode. So you're one of the 3 people I'm going to give the free book. Kindly reach out to me after this so I can send you a link. And then the next person I'm going to gift this book. Christine was here way early and I've seen comments. You've interacted with us. So Christine, I'm going to give you a copy. That's only if you're interested in the copy. Christine, can you hear me? Everyone is on mute. Christine, can you hear me? Christine, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, so you're the second person I'm going to gift a free copy. And the next person is Nelly Tunduli. She was also here way earlier. Nelly? Nelly, can you hear me? Yes, so reach out to me through my email address. Okay, so that it doesn't get mixed up with my other emails, just reach out to me through the email I'm typing here, techpaletteinsights@gmail.com. Okay. That is to Christine, to Nelly, and to Shukrat. Okay. Christine, Nelly, and Shukrat. Now to my final question to my panelists, so that we close. You've heard about the content outline of the book. So what's one practical piece of advice you'd offer to someone holding the Ready, Set, Launch ebook and asking, where do I begin? Who's going first? David.
Yes. I think from my end, one thing is that I'd like to advise is that just look at where you are, and, identify one specific gap or rather problem or an opportunity, and then ask yourself, how are you going to position yourself to be the one championing for that gap? Yeah.
Thank you. I think Ola and Purity have been dropped off. Are you around? Ola, are you around?
I see. It looks like they've dropped.
Yes, I think they've dropped off. Okay. So thank you so much, guys, for attending. You can share about the session on LinkedIn, on your various social media handles, and you can feel free to tag me. I've dropped my LinkedIn handle over there. And if you're also interested in the book, you can reach out. That is my email address. I'll also drop my WhatsApp number there, so you can feel free to reach out in case of anything, in case you have any questions, you need any guidance. You can always feel free to reach out. We are in this journey together. It's been an amazing session, and I just want to say thank you to all of you, to our speakers, David, Purity, Ola. Thank you so much for being generous with your insights. To everyone who tuned in, for choosing to show up for your career and your growth. Thank you so much. If you'd like to grab your copy, I've dropped the link over there. It's still going on offer at 1,000 shillings, but at the end of this week, it will move up to the original price, which is 1,500 shillings. So let's stay connected. Let's keep showing up, not just in lab coats or job titles, but as full people with stories, questions, and purpose. Until next time, keep launching, keep learning, and definitely keep standing out. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye, David.
Bye, everyone.